It's Mom and Pop Video Shop.
Welcome back to Mom and Pop Video Shop. I'm Tyson.
I am Joel.
And this is another episode of Retro Movie Review. And more specifically, this is another Mom and Pop Video Shop contribution to this year's Spooky Flix Fest, brought to you by Joel and Peter and Daryl over at Retro Movie Geek. Joel, would you like to explain what this year's theme is while I get my selection
So,
ready?
yes, you get your selection for it. So, this year we are doing basically 80s lesser known and or seen and or talked about horror movies, obviously. So, the past recommendation that I threw at you was One Dark Night, the Tommy McLaughlin movie. And for this episode, Tyson may have something really interesting.
Yeah, the word Joel used with me when he said, you know, hey, pick something that is obscure from the 80s.
Yes.
And I have to say that this is quite possibly one of the most obscure VHS tapes in my collection. Mm-hmm. This is volume 2, folks, of Stephen King's Night Shift Collection. I knew very little about this whole Night Shift project. I mean, obviously, I knew about the books.
Yes.
But didn't realize that there was a video thing that had been put out. This was actually sent to me. Shout out to my cousin Danny up in the Pacific Northwest. He sent me an entire stack of VHS tapes. We'd kind of looked at this before. I think we did an unpacking video that we wound up never putting on the channel.
It's real early. Go way back into the archive, and it's in there.
Yeah, and we both looked at this and we're like, I have never even heard of this. So here's the thing. Volume 1 came out in I believe it was 83 or 84.
Yeah.
And to give you guys an idea, this the Night Shift collection is based on, for those of you that are big Stephen King fans, there's this concept of his dollar babies.
Yes.
And Joel, just because I know you haven't seen much of these, so to allow you to get some words in, do you want to explain what the dollar baby
basically,
concept is?
as I understand them, is that especially if you're a student filmmaker,
correct,
you can contact King, or at least his people, and he has short stories that for $1,
not the novels, but
no.
I don't think the novels count, but the short stories.
Short stories for $1. It's not about the money. You can option to make into a movie. Now, there's catches, of course, because you're paying $1. You don't own the rights to any of it. It's a glorified fan film, but he's giving you permission to use his material for your vision.
He retains the rights.
Yes.
And you have to give him a copy of whatever you make.
It's a cool idea, man. I think it's cool.
Absolutely.
And he doesn't have to do it, so good for
sure.
him. I will say, isn't the first one of these the one with the Frank Darabont
correct
movie, and was it the Boogeyman?
Boogeyman.
Boogeyman,
yep.
And there was another one on that one that was actually good, because I've seen that one.
I don't remember there being a third one.
No, second one. There's two. There's a Boogeyman and there's another one. I just don't remember what the other one is.
I think that was the Darabont. I don't think Boogeyman was the Darabont.
Oh, I see what you're saying. So there's a Darabont and the Boogeyman?
And the Boogeyman,
Gotcha.
yeah.
Okay, what was the Darabont? Was
I can't remember.
Something about a man? Oh, crap.
Yeah,
because we did homework.
There's got to be somebody here that actually knows what the hell we're talking about, and you can leave in the comments what the names of those two films are. But at any rate, this is Volume 2. So this came out originally in 86. I want to say this might be an 89 release, though.
Oh, okay.
Because I feel like the second movie on this volume, The Night Waiter, was not part of the 86 version, because The Night Waiter was truly a student film that, according to this, won an Emmy Award in 1988. So it would make sense that this was an 89.
They re-released it.
So at any rate, again, this is Volume 2. It's 2 short films. Each film is about 20 minutes. I'll read from the back the synopsis of both, and then we can kind of chat about it. So the first film on this second volume is Disciples of the Crow. And when I read this, the synopsis may sound a tad familiar to you. So here's what it says. Disciples of the Crow. A Stephen King story of a young married couple traveling through Oklahoma who happen upon an ominously quiet little town. The only residents are a pack of fanatical children who have disposed of all adults. They worship screaming crows and an evil corn god, and have very little patience for unenlightened intruders. Disciples of the Crow provides an excellent original literary adaptation for the audience and suspenseful, exciting entertainment for any viewer. Since its release, Disciples of the Crow has received awards from the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences, Chicago Film Festival, Texas Union, and many others. So, if it wasn't blatantly apparent to you, this is technically the first adaptation of King's short story, Children of the Corn.
Now, I was going to tell you, I don't know if I have seen a short film version of Children of the Corn.
Okay.
because I think it was actually for Spooky Flix Fest years ago. We were doing anthologies. I think that was the one where I know we covered a couple of these dollar babies. Like those our bonuses.
This might have been it.
But the title doesn't. I think that one was actually just called Children of the Corn.
Disciples of the Crow was in '83, and then the feature came out in '84.
But I'm wondering if there was because Dollar Baby, if you today wanted to contact her, I'm thinking if it's available to do, you could probably make your Children of the Corn as well. So I don't know if it may have been that one, and maybe they in the YouTube video, because I think it was on YouTube. I definitely didn't see it on tape.
Yeah, and that I was going to check for this and just didn't get around to it, so I'm not sure.
It was at one point, if it's that one.
I know that physical media, guys, you're not going to find this on DVD. The only way you're going to find the Stephen King Night Shift Collection is on VHS. To my knowledge, they never released it on DVD. But I would guess that if you YouTube search food enough, you could probably dig some of these.
Up. And again, because they're not owned by the filmmakers technically, I guess.
So Joel, let me ask you real quick. 84's Children of the Corn. Top of your head, how many tapes would you give that? How did you feel about the 84?
As an actual movie, I have a affinity for it. As a movie, I'd give it like a 3.
Okay, that's about where I would commit.
Yeah, I love it. I do love it, but I'd say as a movie, I'd give it a 3.
I mean, it's got some memorable characters, obviously Malachi and Isaac, but I feel like there's some gristle in that movie. You know what I mean? It's a little bit. There's some fat,
and it's obviously, unfortunately, like they tried to do like this visual effect at the end. If memory serves, that's just not very effective. Like better just to not let see who walks behind the rows at all. Then
I ask you because here's my hot take on the 20-minute long Disciples of the Crow. I like this a lot better than 1984's Children of the Corn. Yep. Nice. It's only 20 minutes long. It is tight. There is no fat on this. Visually, it's creepy. I sent you sort of the little snippet of one of the edits in this of a scene that I thought was really great well done, for technically a young filmmaker. So for my money, I would watch this every day of the week, twice on Sunday.
I'm going to see if I can find, because I memory serve the one I remember watching for the Spooky Fix Fest of yesterday.
I'll definitely leave this in the shop too, so you can catch up on this because I think you dig it.
Because I remember liking it a lot too. So it's probably, I'm going to guess it probably said in the description Disciple, originally called Disciple, but I think they put Children of the Corn in the.
Could be,
to make people want to find it,
This was early enough that at the time there was no Children of the Corn film. Isn't it cool?
Yeah.
Very much so.
Yeah.
So that installment, I would easily give 4 tapes. Okay. The second installment, I'll tell you right up front, is not as good as the first one. But, again, grain of salt. This one was truly a student filmmaker.
This is The Night Waiter.
The Night Waiter.
Okay.
And here's what's interesting is, in checking on this, the story... let me read the synopsis first, and we'll talk about it. The Night Waiter. Walter needed a night job. The Bayview Hotel needed a bell waiter for the graveyard shift. On his first night on the job, Walter meets Terry, the wisecracking desk clerk who seems reluctant to discuss the Bayview's unsavory past. When Walter encounters room 321, strange things happen. He hears the same song being played over and over. A crusty, skeletal hand slamming the door closed, and finally, that inhuman voice warning him to stay away. Even as Walter uncovers the hotel's haunting mystery, Terry scoffs at Walter's fears, forcing a difficult decision. Will Walter lose his job or venture into room 321? Kind of a standard haunted hotel story, and what's interesting is, to my knowledge, it's not based on a Stephen King story. So I don't know how it made it into this anthology.
That's
other
weird.
Than it's very reminiscent of The Shining. There's a lot of Shining.
Yeah, but that seems like a bit of a stretch.
But I'm telling you right now.
Also reminding me of like The Innkeepers, the Ty West
movie.
1987,
1988. By then we would have got Stephen King's Night Shift.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of another short story collection. I don't think we
Skeleton Crew came out in 85.
Skeleton Crew, perhaps. But I can't think of any stories in there.
Nothing,
and like 1408 was after all that.
Later,
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I mean, obviously, King has an affinity for haunted hotels and specifically haunted hotel rooms.
I just feel it's weird. Why would you have a Stephen King collection unless it's connected to King?
Yeah, I'm thinking just maybe because the guy's like, hey, student film, this is my first crack at this. It's very Shining-esque. Can I throw it on the anthology? Maybe. But I don't know. You guys let us know if you are more King-ophiles than we are, and if that particular story or that title, The Night Waiter, sounds familiar to you. Based on my knowledge, I don't think it's a King story, but that's just me. That's so weird. Here's the thing. It's again, it's fairly predictable, not the most original thing, but you got to give it credit because atmospherically, for a student's very first film.
Yeah.
I thought it did a great job of doing what it was supposed to do, and that's probably why it apparently won an Emmy in 1988.
Wow. Okay, cool.
But again, of the two from Stephen King's Volume 2
So how many
Night Shift
takes do you give
Collection,
that one?
I would probably give it a 3.
So
But I
if
feel
we
like-
average it out, we're saying 3.5 for the whole
Yeah, but honestly, I'm telling you right now, Disciples of the Crow
It's worth
is
it
so
by itself.
strong that
Yeah.
it kicks the entire Volume 2 of Stephen King's Night Shift Collection up to a 4 taper for me. So, guys, track this down if you can.
Yep.
I'm sure you can find these streaming somewhere. But if not, I didn't look up the price for these. Again, thanks to my cousin Danny for sending me this on VHS. But I imagine you can track this down on VHS. And I think we should try to get Volume 1 in here as well.
Yeah, for sure.
Because why not? So
Yeah, well, plus got early Frank Darabont.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts on this
No, man.
early Stephen
No,
King?
just makes me want to go rewatch that short Children of the Corn version that I saw and see if it's the same.
See if it's the same thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I'm going to leave this in the shop,
Alright,
too.
cool,
So when
cool.
you're, like, doing the books or whatever, because Mom and Pop only trust Joel to do things like taxes and bookkeeping. And
That is
only good enough
why
to
they're
stock
going to
shelves.
be getting a knock on the door from the IRS.
Exactly. But while you're doing that kind of
Yeah.
paperwork, maybe you can throw this on in the background. So
Yeah.
All right, well, I got nothing else on this, guys. Thanks for stopping by for this episode of Retro Movie Review here at the Mom and Pop Video Shop. And in the meantime, remember, at Mom and Pop's, our love of...
Because why not? Children of the Corn 3 Urban Harvest.
never stops.
Mom and Pop's Video Shop.